Welcome back to Wickerson Studios. Michael Wickerson here. And as you can see, I basically went back in. We're continuing with the second GH script for Numpy into Grasshopper. And of course, we're doing all this work in Visual Studio Code. What I chose to do in Visual Studio was I took this array off. There was no point turning the shape array into a string, which would show it up as a tuple, because that's not going to provide you any information. And this is where we left off. So I just removed the array. Just the str string here, and then it would output. I just had to rename my node. If you remember anything about that, take your caches off so things aren't memorized. And that should be great. And now you're able to bring in whatever lists you want. You kind of have to know your inputs. You have to predict your outputs, because we have that problem again going that it will not understand array list trees, which is fine. It just seems pretty redundant that we're taking this data and going here. But the whole point of this is to do array and vectorized computations. That's the sole point of this. So what I did was, with some hidden lines down here, you can see where they're connecting. I did the simplest and most boring data visualization of NumPy into Grasshopper. And here it is. Dispatch your data here. And I'll just leave that on. Dispatch your data from your shape 3x3 and put them into the x-extends of a rectangle grid. So there's your rectangle grid. I just took the dimension 2 and decided to use the size for x and y, which gave us that grid. I moved that grid according to the data coming out from my array. And it did that, and it actually did that in a very interesting way. Even though I'm grafting it all afterward, I could have maintained the data structure and I grafted it down here. You can take your top pieces and your bottom pieces, and you can make a beautiful three-dimensional parallel visualization of your data, which is completely updatable to randomizing it. And when you get close to something that you kind of like geometrically, and I think this is a great example, then you can go and you can fine tune it with this. You could use Galapagos on here to get the areas that you want and the volumes that you want. You just have to cap these because they're open right now. But anybody that knows Grasshopper knows that wouldn't take much. You go into your surfaces, you grab your surfaces. It's not going to slow your script down too much. And what am I talking about? I need to cap. Oh my goodness, I've played so much now. Capping your breps, let's throw it in there. And we've got one that runs at 10 milliseconds. So now you've capped it. You've got your solids. You can pull your volumes, and there you go. So nice, simple example. And when you get it really right down you want, you can just fine tune a little bit with the one. And that's why I love the gene pool. And you can link that up with the Galapagos. So the most simple, boring data visualization of NumPy into Grasshopper from a Python 3.0 library. And here it is as it stands. I'll just take a little visual picture of it. If I could just get this to move down to where it was. I will take a little save screen, but for right now, I'm going to pop that up, and that'll be our third example in this series. Boring, simple, but you get the point. And I'm going to stop recording.